Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. Welcome to another great panel and session to our BeMore Festival 2022. This one is called Why Is It So Dang Hard to Get a Job and What You Can Do About It. I'm so excited for this session. Hope you all are too. And I'm passing the mic on to Adam.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much. My name's Adam Perlis. I'm the CEO and founder of Academy. We're a flexible product design agency offering staffing and recruiting services and helping place world-class talent just like all of you. And today, our panel is about why it's so dang hard to get a job and what you can do about it. And I've invited some incredible guests to share some of those insights with all of you. And before I did want to share with you guys some incredible resources that my team have developed. We've created an interview guide based on best practices from some of the best design-led companies really in the world. And we've kind of open sourced this to the community. And this is a great guide for you guys as you start to apply to jobs and move into the workforce. So wanted to share that with you guys before we get started. But without further ado, I really wanted to introduce our esteemed panel. We have some incredible guests. Mike Deal, head of design at Super Rare, Tanner Christensen, founder at Shape, Jackie Velasquez Ross, former design recruiting manager at Twitter, and Noah Carmel, product designer at Blue Label Labs. And I'd love for you guys to all get a chance to really introduce yourselves and share a little bit about your experience in the industry. Mike, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Yeah, I'll keep it short. I head design at Super Rare right now, which is like an art marketplace, an NFT platform. And my background's, in a mix of product design and brand design, jumped around to a bunch of different roles or different types of orgs, media roles, in-house roles, agency stuff and freelance. And I love what I do and happy to be here and share today. So thank you.
Awesome. Tanner, please, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, excited to be here. I'm Tanner Christensen. I'm currently founder of Shape, a new platform I'm building to help designers learn how to interview and land jobs. You can check us out at shape.co. Before Shape, I was previously the head of design at gem.com, where I built software to help recruiters find talent. And then before that, I designed at companies like Lyft, Atlassian, and Facebook. Had a really long and winding career and had the great opportunity to talk with a lot of designers over the years about what it means to design well and get the dream job. So I'm excited to chat with you all about that today.
Awesome. Jackie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So nice to be here. I'm Jackie. I am a recruiter by trade. I focus on design and research, most recently leading a team of recruiters at Twitter. Previous to that, I was at Envision, Facebook, Instagram. And I've hired a lot of amazing people across many industries over the years. And currently, I'm running my own recruiting practice where I help place amazing talent. And I also coach designers and researchers on how to negotiate new job offers. Super happy to be here and answer any questions you might have.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. And Noah, please introduce yourself.
Yes, sure. Hi, I'm so thankful to be here and speaking to you guys. I'm Noah Carmel. I currently work at Blue Label Labs, which is a app development agency where we transform ideas into apps with startups and larger enterprises. I also coach and mentor young female junior designers at UX Chair, where we frequently review portfolios, and I also coach on, gaining confidence early on in someone's career who's just starting out in design and how to establish your personal brand when you don't have that much experience yet. So.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for those amazing introductions. I think you all can see that these folks have tremendous amount of experience and also a wide variety, right? Noah coming from the earliest stages of her career, Mike and Tanner, later stages of design and also offering. Jackie, who's come from the recruiting angle. So I think we've got an amazing group of people to kind of share their insights. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. We're going to have a great conversation. with these folks. Actually, if you wouldn't mind, Fred, pinning Noah to the main part of the stage so we can see her much clearer. And I will step back into the background and ask some great questions. So, I just want to frame this up for everybody. We all know that the job hunting process can be exhausting and frustrating, especially when companies aren't transparent about their interview process and what they're really looking for. And thankfully, we've got this great panel of people to talk about it and really to help unravel the mystery of how to break in to the industry. So to kick things off, this is a question for the entire group. Beyond a star-studded resume with all the right experience and skills, what are you really looking for when you hire talent? And anybody can chime in. I think some of you guys might be muted. I can't tell.
I think this is such a great question. And I think everyone's going to have a different perspective because we all come from different backgrounds. But when I think about hiring beyond the portfolio, when I get on the phone with you, I want to know who you are. I think that's so important. How did you get to where you are today? Right? I think that is so important when we're thinking about hiring. And I want to know more than the soft and the hard skills, right? I want to know your soft skills because every team has their strengths and their weaknesses. And so I'm looking to fill weaknesses. So I want to know who you are, what your strengths are, and if you can fill those weaknesses on the teams that I'm looking to hire for.
I love that. I would carry off of Jackie's answer as well and say, not only do I care about where you gain your skills and your life experiences, but I also like to look at where you want to go. What are your ambitions? And can my team, my company help you work towards those ambitions? Because any job relationship, in my mind, it goes both ways, right? You're not there just to help the company and help the business. The company's there to help you as well. So anytime I can get a flavor of kind of where you want to go in your career, and if the company can help with that, that makes things really, really better, I think, across the board.
Yeah, I've had some great conversations with folks that I thought were like a great fit, and at some point we dig further into like where they're hoping to go, and it's like, oh, actually, like it seems like the management track is really important to you, and this might not be the best for that, or illuminating just the needs there. Like some other things I often look for. Maybe this is a little more specific to product design because like some different considerations with like brand design and other roles, but I've been finding recently the candidates that have the ability to manage some form of complexity has been just super helpful. And I think that, it's obvious for more senior folks with a lot of moving parts and stakeholders to balance, but even for junior folks, like those that if just almost like fractally, if you zoom into your area of responsibility, having the thoroughness to really leave no stone unturned and dig into things and kind of have that thoroughness is really helpful. And to do so without needing a lot of hand holding, again, like kind of goes without saying for a lot of senior roles, but in junior roles, those that can just keep moving and not feel blocked. And even if it's in the wrong direction, as long as there's clear communication, like we can kind of check in on that and being able to do so in a lean way. So even if you're not at a startup, I think that kind of thinking is really helpful, and doing so in a way that like, it ties back to the business needs. Candidates to kind of understand and can demonstrate that they've dug into not just like the vibes of the brand, the specifics of the UX, but how that all ties back to what the core business goals are. It definitely helps stand out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And to add to that, I think, like you said, with juniors, there's a lot of guidance needed and a lot of hand holding, whereas you expect from a senior to just deliver excellent work on their own. But I think, of course, juniors are not on that level yet, but I think a lot of juniors tend to ask questions very fast without doing the thorough research first. And I think the ones that are doing that research up front before asking someone to be able to, solve a problem on their own without that need or help from a design lead or a senior is very valuable. And I feel like, a lot of juniors don't realize that they are so hungry to seek validation and seek validation. I think that's also really important to be able to do that on your own.
Awesome. Amazing answers across the board. thinking about, yes, of course, like needing to figure out ways to stand out when maybe everyone is equal, right? Where they have the same experience, same skills. Um, what are the ways that people can stand out and get their foot in the door, right? Like in the early stages of the application process, we all know that, yes, applying online is a good thing to get into maybe some of those company ATSs, but I think there was some statistic, it was like less than 2% of people get jobs because of their applications through the ATS systems, right? It's good to be in there from a process standpoint, we all know, from a recruiting side, but usually like that might not guarantee that your resume is seen, especially much, much larger companies. So what are some of the strategies, techniques that you guys have either seen or used yourselves to get a recruiter or a hiring manager's attention?
I think Noah kind of, oh, go ahead, Mike.
Please, Tanner, go for it.
Oh, yeah, I can.
I was going to say, I think Noah kind of alluded to this a little bit, where one way to stand out is do your research. Look into the company, look into the direction that they're going, look into why that role might be a great fit for you, and then use that when you communicate with the company, both in your job application, as well as reaching out to the recruiter or the recruiting team at the company and engage with them authentically and naturally. Don't just reach out to them and say, hey, I applied, can you hook me up? Reach out to them with questions and insights and ideas around the role. That can really help you stand out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also if you are able to like tell them, okay, I see that your business plans are for the next half year to achieve these numbers and this, and I think I can contribute value in this way. I think that's also really helpful if you're able to even answer that question. Yeah,
I was going to speak to the same thing as just like really, just like being able to stand out by showing that you've done the research, like it really digging into the needs of the place. Like I'm still blown away by how few cover letters I get. Like I was taught that was like the thing you do, and like maybe 1 out of every 20 candidates, and then the number that do it, like it's very few that actually have something custom rather than just switching out the name of the company. And it really goes a long way. There are folks that I've talked to or seen the cover letters, I was like, this is not the right fit at all, but I still felt compelled to reach out to them and even give them feedback on why, because it just felt like they did the work to come to me. And I think being on the other side of it and trying to look for jobs, I get that there's like a balance of quality over quantity. Like you want to kind of do a scatter shot, not put all your eggs in 1 or 2 baskets. But I've actually found a lot of success from that. Like for the jobs that I haven't been able to get in the past, aside from the privilege that got me there, it was just like I went kind of all in, like in really making sure that I got in front of them by doing full research and preparing something. And they kind of couldn't ignore me at that point, just at least to get in the door and have the conversation. So I always encourage people to try to keep that mind of quantity over quality, or quality over quantity in mind.
So I want to add a couple of gems in here for you all. I'm going to be super honest with you. Big companies like the FANGs, they're not looking at your application. They literally are not. There are so many people who apply to these jobs, and there are not enough people. There are not enough recruiters, sourcers to review all of the applications. Maybe someone might go in there every once in a while and like take a look. And maybe you'll get, like, it's the percentage is so low that you will get a response. Most of the FANGs, I will say this specifically, or just like large companies, they're going to be looking for you. And so the way to stand out, I would say, is like everyone is saying, is like you have to customize and you have to find the right people to talk to. So you find someone like me or anyone on this panel and you send them a very customized message, and you, like everyone said, do your research. And honestly, what I love to see is someone just be themselves and have that come through in the message. I get these messages all the time, and when they're really good, and I see the care and the time they put into a message, I always respond. Whether it's like I can help you or I can't help you, I'll point you in the right direction. But I think a great way of getting in front of someone is reaching out to the recruiter, reaching out to the head of design or research, finding someone who has the job that you want and reaching out to them. So many times designers refer other designers. So if you can get a foot in the door that way, that's an amazing way to get into some of these companies. And again, I want to emphasize this, be yourself. Just be yourself, because that's what we really want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that also ties in, being comfortable in your own personal brand and having that confidence. Because I feel like a lot of, I did it too when I was a junior myself. I was kind of holding up this image that I was someone else that I really wasn't, and it's not really attractive to recruiters and hiring managers. Yeah.
Yeah, because we can tell.
Exactly. We can tell.
And also, I will also say, because I've been working with someone recently who's really eager to move into design, and I'm so excited for them, and we're working on that, but they're almost a little bit, sometimes it can come off desperate as well. So I would encourage you all to not get to that space. Like, you may be junior or you may be a career changer, but you have skills and you have value, and companies need that. So be yourself, put your best foot forward, be humble, but like, they're going to pay you to do a job. So don't sell yourself.
Yes, agreed. And these are amazing insights. I think, like, the message is loud and clear, taking that very direct approach and focus where you're personalizing each message that's going out and really trying to tap into who is the audience on the other side, right? Who is really the person you're talking to? What makes them tick? And if you can, I think, hook into that, I think that's a great way to really capture somebody's attention. Especially, there's a lot of different topics you can cover. You could research them on social media. Maybe they share things that are of interest to them that you can connect on. Maybe it's, particular to their company and some of the goals you've heard about that they're trying to achieve that you would like to equally help them achieve. There's just like a lot of different strategies that you can take. And but the message here is loud and clear: personalize, personalize, personalize. One of the things I want to note is the thing that you should not do, which is send somebody a message with nothing more than like a link to your resume and your portfolio and say, I'm looking for a job. That is a really bad idea. Exactly. Like, thumbs down. So my question to the group is, what are other things that people can do to hurt their candidacy when trying to get a job?
I think one thing that really stood out from what we just talked about that Jackie mentioned is that desperation. Anytime you convey desperation, it's a really negative impact. And I want to be clear here. Hiring managers, recruiters, we understand you need a job. Like, you have to pay your bills, you want to grow in your career. We totally get that. But desperation is a turnoff in that it signifies to us like you're looking for any job, not just our job, not just our company and what we can offer and what you can offer us, but you're kind of just saying, I'll take any job. And that's not the best thing. So you want to convey a sense of like, I do care. I care about this role. I care about this team. That's much more helpful.
And I would say that's so good. And I would say on the flip side of that, when I engage with candidates who are very apathetic, that's also like not a good thing. So when people aren't prepared for a conversation, like, we scheduled a time to talk at 12 noon, and then you're like not ready to talk on the phone, right? Or you get on the phone and you're like, oh, I don't really need this job. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, that does not go over well. Yeah.
And one for me is not asking questions if you're in the interview. Like, it's kind of tied thematically to this, like, standing out by doing research and digging in. You're showing curiosity, like the type of curiosity I would want to see in a designer. And then, like, I've been perplexed sometimes having these conversations with these great candidates. They seem so qualified. I'm like, any questions? And they're like, nope. And I can tell they're not just signing off. They don't want the job. Like, they've expressed interest. And I'm like, how do you not, like, it's like going on a date and like having zero questions for the other person. Are you not at least a little curious about this place that you're about to kind of marry your whole life to for a while, and so that can kind of throw me off. And I think also asking the right questions, kind of on top of that.
Awesome. Amazing thoughts on all of this. You know, as people move into the interview process and they're in their first stages with you guys, maybe it's a phone screen with the hiring manager, or it could be with a recruiter as well. What are the things that people can do to really build that initial trust?
I have nothing new to add except just the asking questions and, you know, doing your homework. For me, not to just harp on previous themes, but like that I think really does go a long way in kind of building rapport.
Also just being transparent about what you're doing and what you've already done. You don't want that hiring manager to later find out that you lied about something. I mean, that's really hurting your credibility. So I think, being transparent.
Yeah, it's back to the authenticity theme too.
Just be real.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All great things. I'm hearing the same theme here from all of you guys. Be real definitely captures that. So I'm going to switch gears to something else we talked about before, but I think it's critically important in the part about really helping you get noticed to begin with. And Jackie, you had noted this. Most of the larger companies, right? I think what a lot of these folks maybe even desire to work at, you know, are going to be coming to you. But how do they find you, right? And one of the things, Noah and Tanner, I think you guys have really beautifully done a great job of this with each of your own careers at different stages, you know, is talking about developing a personal brand. Do you think that having a personal brand really can help someone's candidacy? What's your advice when it comes to leveraging your personal brand as a candidate?
Yeah, it definitely can, because like Jackie said, like huge companies get hundreds of different applications, and most of the time they don't even look at it. And when they do, they look at it for 2 seconds and continue looking at others. But the ones that catch their eye in those first 2 seconds, you know, those get thrown on top of the pile. So I think a personal brand is about, you know, being different than others. And, you know, there's such a mass production of designers nowadays because of the boot camp. So it looks so similar, especially junior portfolios. So yeah, what makes you different? An established personal brand. And you can do that in many ways. As a junior, I wrote an article about it. Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit more, but maybe Tanner has some more great insights about it too.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said, Noah. When I think about a personal brand, I think the first thing to note is, at least in my own experience, I've never pursued building a personal brand. Like, that's never anything I said, I'm gonna go make a personal brand. No, I just am authentic. And I think what really matters, what I would encourage other designers to do, is show up where the conversations that you care about are happening. Just show up. And that can take many different forms, as Noah kind of alluded. Answering questions, replying to other designers, sharing your thoughts on LinkedIn, on Dribbble, on Twitter, wherever you want to be. Just be there. And what that does is it does develop some sense of a brand, but it also does a lot of other things for you. It increases the size of your network, which is probably one of the most important things you can do when it comes to finding a job. In my own personal experience, my reputation precedes me. Like, anytime I talk to a recruiter, they're like, oh yeah, we know about you. We've seen your stuff. The other thing it does is, if I'm a hiring manager or a recruiter and I'm looking to interview you, I can go on these social feeds, I can go to your profile, and I can already get answers to some of the questions I might have for you. What kind of things do you value in design? What kind of things do you tend to think about? What can you contribute to my team? I'll already have some sense of those things about you. The last thing that I'd say that being a participant can do for you is it just gives you some kind of authority. And that's such a touchy subject. I don't want to say like it gives you the ability to be an expert per se, but showing up and engaging, it reflects on how you think about design and your role and the space. And that makes you an authority of sorts. And so I think that's empowering.
One thing for me, as someone who's not as skilled or comfortable kind of building a personal brand, I still, when I see candidates with this stuff, they almost always get bonus points for me. And I think it, like, it often signals kind of an understanding of the brand or marketing side if you're like going for a product design role. But I really want to emphasize, like Tanner's point around, it's not about building the brand. I mean, it's about authenticity, and it's not about like follower numbers. Like for me, one thing that is related that stands out, and that's also been helpful for me in getting jobs, is just like making side projects and posting them. It's not about getting out there and being a thought leader. It's just showing that you love creating things so much, you're so driven, you can't even help it on the side, pursue your passions and have them manifested in something that you share out there. So that's like, if you're not one to get out there and be the personal brand type, side projects I think can really help stand out too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just to add to what Tanner said, like a personal brand. Yeah, I didn't thought exactly that. Okay, I'm gonna, like you said, I'm gonna create a personal brand. It's kind of funny you're saying that, but it's just. And I also talked to Adam about this, being able to put yourself out there, put your work out there, your content. A lot of juniors come straight out of a boot camp, create a portfolio, resume, send it out without even creating value first. So I really feel like, creating content, putting yourself out there, people are going to notice you, hiring managers are going to come to you. And sometimes it's just important to, take a step back and create that value first before you apply to all of these jobs, because it's going to be very exhausting being rejected all the time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And no, we talked a little bit about this, that not being afraid to also share your work. I know personally, as a junior designer, I was always terrified to put my work out there. And as I started to do it, actually, look, virtually no one said it was bad, first of all. No one would actually say that. That is just flat out mean, first of all. Second of all, there were actually some people out there that really liked it, and they gave me great feedback, and it was really encouraging. And then third was that it gave me an opportunity to go out there and elicit feedback from people and ask them, which as, of course, designers, this is like our job, first of all, right? We need to do our own user research. And so I think it's really, really important to, one, be able to put your work out there. Two is, yes, coming out of these boot camps, and I know there's a question about this, coming out of these boot camps, sometimes, everyone's got the same portfolio. You got to stand out, right? Which means come up with a project. Maybe there's an app that, maybe it's even the job that you want to apply for, where they have a feature that they built that you actually think could be improved. Go ahead and redesign that feature, show the research process, do it on your own, right? Or maybe come up with an idea for a startup and build out your own kind of app, even if it's just a prototype, right? These are the different things you can do to stand out when in the absence of not having, client work to be able to showcase in your portfolio, but it will land you an awesome job somewhere because someone's going to be able to see the work you are capable of doing. So just wanted to share that little tidbit. I'm going to move on to another subject altogether. This is to the group. As hiring managers, our personal networks and communities can be a little limiting, frankly. And when we're trying to serve this really diverse set of candidates, who might we know or who might not know about our open roles in general? What strategies are you guys using to be able to attract diverse talent? And how can that talent also equally find you?
I think this is why it's so important to hire diverse teams from the get-go, because when you do that, you don't have this problem. Most companies are not in that situation, though, and there is not equal access to opportunity. But I mean, we all know there isn't a pipeline issue. There's a lot of diverse and interesting people all over the world who are capable and ready to work. As a hiring manager, as a recruiter, I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking, for juniors. I'm looking for mid-level. I'm looking for people with non-conventional backgrounds, people who've moved from, let's say, e-commerce to tech, or if they don't have a tech background, I'm looking in other industries that are applicable. It's really not hard. You just have to look in different places. And then if you're someone like me who does have a diverse background and who has a diverse network, I just keep tapping and keep looking. Because again, like, we're here, we exist. It's just a matter of doing the work to getting us there. Yeah.
I'll let someone else chime in. I have some thoughts too, but
I mean, in the interest of time, I don't have much to add. I would defer. This is like a plug for Adam too, and like the skills of recruiters like Jackie and Adam having the tactics of like kind of where to go look.
Yeah. I mean, I will share some personal experience. Running a staffing and recruiting agency now. It's such a big focus for us in making sure that we are looking in the right places. I think sometimes, just being stuck in our own networks or in LinkedIn, which is why I asked the question to begin with. We can be limited to who we look at. So we've like made very concerted efforts to go deeper into communities like Blacks Who Design, Latinx. There's a number of different more micro communities where folks have an opportunity to also stand out, where sometimes they may not have had the opportunity because of past really experience to have been in those circles where might get noticed in some of the hiring managers' places, and now they have a forum to do so. And so like we've been very focused on that in order to illuminate those people. But I think equally, we're here, like we want to hear from you, and like doing, I think a lot of the tips and tricks you've heard today are great ways for you to also stand out.
100%. And Adam, I want to add, if you are not a hiring manager right now, maybe one day you will. My suggestion for supporting undersupported or underseen people would be, it's storytelling. And this is why I love recruiting. Sometimes people don't have the exact experience that you would think would make the perfect candidate, but the experience they have is so fascinating and interesting and could be great. And so it's the way you tell the story and how you present them to the business. So if you can just say, hey, like, this is this person, this is what they've done. It's not the exact experience, but I just need you to talk to them. Just talk to them. And then we can make a decision on how to make forward. Just giving someone a chance sometimes is incredibly life-changing and so impactful to the bottom line in your business.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things, and to plug really ADPList here, which has done just such a brilliant job of connecting people, the fact that you have this platform now and can literally like reach out to some amazing design leaders and schedule a one-on-one with them, like, wow, like what, you have no better, opportunity to connect about a job than asking advice of people and trying to, see if you can, find a way to connect in a way that may end up allowing you guys to work together at some point. I certainly wouldn't go into those conversations asking for a job. It would be more about getting advice from an inspiring leader, but you never know who that person's going to know. They may really, like what you have to say, your background, and putting yourself out there is really important, and not having that imposter syndrome that I think a lot of us, definitely, including myself, sometimes even have, right? So know that you're not alone as you go at, this process. I want to kind of come back to some of the points. I think like, Noah, you had some amazing, oh, sorry. I'm actually gonna, before I do that, I'm getting a note from Fred. Fred, do we have 6 minutes of Q&A, right? So I think we're wrapping up at 11:40. So actually, I apologize. I'm actually going to wrap us up. I was going to circle back. I thought we had 10 more minutes, but thank you guys so much for this incredible insight today. I think the group's going to have some amazing questions in Q&A. So I would actually rather focus on them than continue our discussion and lead this thing. So I'm actually going to turn it over there. I'm going to flip over to my other tab here. There's a question here that got 26 votes. So I'm going to start with that one. Amazing. Okay, so to the group, there's a stigma against bootcamp grads. We talked a little bit about this. How can we highlight our other skills so that we can prove that we know what we're doing? and not be dismissed because we're bootcamp grads? We'll leave that open for the group.
For me, I don't dismiss for being bootcamp grads at all. I went through a bootcamp for web development. It really helped me. The thing that I run into is when I'm looking at portfolios, like it was mentioned earlier by Adam, that can just look the same. I see folks going through the motions and with these case studies that are formatted the same way as as you're advised to do. And it's not even just that, but sometimes like I'll often see like writing and content just for the sake of throwing it on the board, and I just see these extensive like fluff, like really padded up pieces that I'm not really getting the sense of like original critical thinking. So a lot of it is about like editing things down and storytelling and how you present yourself, but just that mindset on the themes we talked about earlier of the authenticity and kind of showing the original thinking.
I cannot plus one that enough. And it's not really even a boot camp thing necessarily. I think you see this from a lot of junior or inexperienced designers as well. When you're writing a case study, when you're talking about your work, remember that you're not being interviewed necessarily for a rigid process, like Double Diamond, for example, or anytime I see a case study in a portfolio that goes, here was the problem, here was the research, here was like the ideation stage, here was the concepts, I fall asleep because it doesn't tell me about you. I want to hear what actually happened. What was your process? What did you really experience as you went through that work? If you can talk to that, then you're already kind of answering your question here, Daniela. You want to highlight your skills? Well, tell us about your skills. Tell us about your journey. Don't try to fix your story to some pre-established framework or narrative. That's not going to help you. Tell us what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jackie, you have something to add?
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
No.
No, it was you.
Yeah,
I was to be shaking your heads.
I wanted to say that exactly. I agree with everything you guys just said. Also, just boot camps for UX at least, and definitely the ones that are only 3 months long. You really learn the basics, like the fundamentals of UX and UI, and that's I think why everything looks so similar, because you cannot really have that experience yet, and a lot of juniors forget that every real UX project looks totally different when it comes to the process. It's really hard to fit a real UX process in that classical design thinking, research, prototype, etc. process. So make sure that it's really fit to the needs of your project, the business needs, etc. And really use those fundamental basics to keep growing as a designer. Do research at how senior designers are doing their case studies. I think that's very helpful. But use those bootcamp skills, those basic skills, to grow further in your career.
Amazing. I know there's a number of questions here. I'm reading through them, and it actually looks like a lot of them have, I think, mostly been answered by our chat today. So I actually have one really important question for the group that I think will resonate with the audience. Breaking into the industry can be demoralizing. It can be exhausting. What advice would you give people who are burnt out trying?
Yeah, I think it's demoralizing and exhausting because you keep applying and applying, and it's very demoralizing to get rejected for something you've almost literally put your heart and soul into. And that's what's so hard about it. That's why it hurts so much. So I think really just taking a step back, maybe rest for a few days, totally get your mind off design, and develop your skills more. Go and read articles, maybe take another course. Do everything you can to be more valuable as a designer to a company, and then maybe a while later when you feel ready again, start trying again.
I think that's great. And I would say, take a step back, take a break, pour into yourself, take care of yourself, and then approach it in a different way. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and you're not getting the results you're wanting, then obviously it's not working. And one of the tips I would also give is get a mentor, someone who can help you get to where you want to be. You can't do it on your own. So again, like, this community is incredibly helpful for that. But yeah, mentorship, 100%, because someone is going to be able to guide you to where you want to be.
Awesome. Mike, anything to share? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to go over time. I guess just to last on that, just to plus one on like the being able to take a pause and step back. I mean, the self-care aspect of it, I know that's easier said than done if you're working 3 jobs. But like the stepping back, if you can, like also can give you perspective. There's like something to be said for all the persistence and hard work you're putting into making sure it's kind of pointed in the right direction. And sometimes the trajectory can get scrambled if you're too close to it. And I think even if you're not able to take a sabbatical for a few months, that kind of thing, just the reminder that it is a long game and that persistence over time will pay off. Like if you really want to be a designer and to break into it, it might be that it takes a long time to be continuously upgrading the skills to get to that level. But over time, like it will pay off if you're persistent, and it can be a long game.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing thoughts from all of you guys, and very inspiring. I hope, the audience today who might be feeling some of these things now, just know that, that hard work will pay off. Don't be afraid to put yourselves out there. Use some of the tips that you've heard today. Acquire a mentor. I'll plug Tanner and Jackie for this, who are both running businesses around this type of work. And also, of course, ADPList, which offers an incredibly amazing platform. Of course, it's free. And really I think these tips and tricks will help you, along with the interview guide that I shared with you guys. I think Fred's going to share it one more time in the chat for you guys to take a look at. That's totally based on industry best practices. The likes of Google, Twitter, Airbnb, etc., have all used this type of formula to help hire their talent. So I hope that's useful for you. We're available on socials if you guys want to try to send us a message or interact with us on those. LinkedIn, I think one of the preferred methods, or Twitter. But thank you guys all